The highly anticipated Gaza ceasefire talks have officially begun in Egypt, marking a critical moment in the two-year-long war between Israel and Hamas that has left more than 67,000 Palestinians dead, displaced thousands, and taken countless hostages. As mediators and world leaders scramble to bring an end to this humanitarian crisis while negotiating the release of hostages and a lasting ceasefire. According to Egypt's state-owned Al Qahira news network, the first round of talks started with Arab mediators meeting the Hamas delegation, with discussions focused on laying the groundwork for a potential ceasefire and ensuring the safe release of hostages held by the militant group, before the Israeli delegation is scheduled to sit down with the mediators. Following these initial discussions, Egypt and Qatari mediators are expected to review and coordinate the outcomes of their separate meetings with both Hamas and Israel, ahead of a session involving U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who is in Cairo to provide technical support and help finalize the details of a deal that could include a long-term ceasefire and the release of hostages. U.S. President Donald Trump addressed the press on Monday, expressing optimism that a deal could be reached, saying, and I quote, "I really think we're going to have a deal. We have a really good chance of making a deal, and it will be a lasting deal." While White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt highlighted that technical teams are actively reviewing the lists of both Israeli hostages and political prisoners, emphasizing that the president's priority is a ceasefire under a perfect environment that ensures safety and compliance by both parties. The United States delegation to Egypt is led by President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, alongside senior Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, who are tasked with finalizing the technical details of the hostage release and negotiating a ceasefire that could extend beyond initial expectations, focusing on resolving remaining sticking points that have delayed progress until now. Hamas delegation is headed by Khalil al-Hayya, a senior official targeted in an Israeli assassination attempt last month while in Qatar, and whom Israeli President Isaac Herzog has publicly described as a murderous terrorist, reflecting the deep animosity and mistrust that continues to challenge the negotiations. Even as al-Hayya and his team arrived in Egypt early Monday morning to begin talks under Arab mediation. On the Israeli side, the delegation is led by Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer, an outgoing minister described by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as a close aide who, despite ending his ministerial role, will continue to handle certain sensitive matters related to the talks, and who has been leading Israel's negotiating team since February, focusing primarily on the ceasefire and the safe return of hostages, in a process that has seen months of complex diplomacy and high-level negotiation behind the scenes. These talks, now underway in Egypt, are being watched closely by the international community, with the dual objectives of halting further bloodshed in Gaza and ensuring that hostages held for years can finally be freed. A process that involves meticulous coordination between Arab mediators, U.S. officials, and both Israeli and Hamas leaders, and represents one of the most critical diplomatic efforts in the region in recent times. As these high-stakes negotiations continue, all eyes remain on Cairo to see whether a breakthrough can be achieved that will finally bring an end to the devastating conflict in Gaza, a war that has altered lives, displaced families, and claimed tens of thousands of lives. And for more updates on this developing story, subscribe to our channel, The Indian Express, for the latest news from around the world.